It always goes back to clarity. When you know who you are, you can't be pulled. But when you don't, all that can happen is pull, because it just takes a little shake to get you unstable. And if you just get a little, almost just imagine you're in space. If I can just push you off the shuttle and you're out and floating, I can do whatever I want. I can push you in one direction and you'll just go. If you don't know yourself, you can't get yourself anywhere. So it's about grounding yourself. I've used the word yourself so much. I hear it. Grounding yourself into yourself. And then from there, walking throughout the world, then you won't be a reaction, a ricochet, an echo to the thoughts, ideas, sentiments.
Boy, my mind's just spinning right now because, I think fundamental when people say, I want to be a lawyer, a doctor, a business person or whatever, and their number one goal is a certain standard of living, lifestyle, X dollars in their bank account. And then you say, who are you? What is your identity really in this Western culture, in Newport Beach, in Atherton, in Beverly Hills, wherever it may be where there's lots of money? What is your value? What is your identity rooted in? And the idea, if it's rooted always in money and power and position, prize, right? Or your net worth, right? Equals your self-worth. You really end up with an identity crisis. And this is fundamental. And when you're in that way, and that is your value system, and it gets rocked, it's a fundamental identity crisis. I would say it's a fundamental confidence loser, net.
Absolutely.
Versus I'm more than that. As a person, my worth is in something more eternal than that, right? It's something more permanent than that. And that's really hard to do because our whole lives are built on performance, achievement. Ultimately, I would argue at some level to have some security, certainty, standard of living, lifestyle. And why do we want the lifestyle? For people at the extreme ends of that, they want to impress people that really don't care about them, honestly.
Right.
They're trying to impress people that don't really care about them. But because of the work that hasn't been done or the psychological makeup, we think we have 40 billion or whatever, we're going to be more loved, we're going to be more worthy. And the answer is we won't. But it's fascinating when you think about gaslighters. I almost know that I would argue that very successful people are gaslit because those gaslighters know that the value system is built on sand at some level versus that solid granite rock. And we've heard about that in the Bible, right? The parable of the man that builds, or there's songs about it, man who built his house in the sand versus the rock, and what happened. And I think that all your accomplishments can be used against you, can be made to make you feel a lot less confident. So as we're trying to build this incredible life, and as we're trying to build this incredible story, that at the foundation, the fundamentals are in place of who you are, what's your value system, that if you lost it all, you're still that person intrinsically. And your emotions and your moods aren't dependent upon what's in the bank or the houses you own or the house you own. None of that matters. It can be all taken away and you're still that person. And all those great people you talked about, Jesus Christ and Mahatma Gandhi and all the people that have come as philosophers, right? That's one thing I think they fundamentally understood, that, look, if you look back in time and all the craziness, right? We've had all these plagues, world wars, the stock market crash in 29. We've had all these things happen. It's not like we're living through the first time in history.
Right.
This is just repetitive, right? And it's our response to things. And this whole series about resilience and trying to become more resilient is fundamentally, I think, rooted in that foundation. Who are you? What you believe in? That if everything you built your life around is gone today, are you still that same person where you still have perspective and you can keep a sense of self and sense of perspective? Why does that matter? We know with coronavirus and what's going on, the cure is worse than the disease. We know there's epic levels of suicide. We know there's epic levels of violence. You don't think there's a connection? When you don't have a job, you don't have hope.
Right.
You have all this craziness going on in the inner cities. It's all connected. And yet it's because intrinsically we're saying our value's in this area. And when that area goes away, I don't have value. So I'm going to act out. I'm going to strike out. Man, I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry.
No, I love it, bro. And it's real. It's real. It's almost spiritual. And the problem is we all have desire. That's natural to humans. And I think that it's just our metrics. We have improper metrics. How money, the currency is the metric, right? But it's only this era, right? There was a time when just being with the family, you know, is just you know, you look in France, you look in Italy, break time is like 2 hours long, 3 hours long. You know, it's different mindsets for different places. It's choosing the right metrics, which is the goal is to choose the metric as a metric of self-discovery, self-knowledge. And to understand that just because I buy a car, it doesn't build my identity. Like if I feel better because I purchased something, what does it say about what I feel when I'm naked? Right? If there's everything is indicative, there's an inference. Like if I buy a big house and I feel better, then what am I without that house? And if I keep pulling away things until it's just me and that's not enough, there's something fundamentally wrong. But the truth is that, you know, it's in the Tao, it says, he who speaks does not know. He who knows does not speak. Mask your brightness, temper your sharpness, be at one with the dust of the earth. He who has achieved this is unconcerned with honor or disgrace. This is the highest state of man.